I canceled the moving truck at 11:11. He showed up with a map. Hook. The moving truck confirmation email had a tidy blue button that said cancel, and I pressed it at 11:11 because I am the kind of man who bargains with clocks. The company replied with a cheerful, punishing sentence, "We hope to move you in the future," and I laughed out loud alone in our kitchen. A minute later, my husband, Marcus, opened the door with wind in his hair and the expression he wears when he chooses tenderness over cleverness. He set a cardboard tube on the table like a baton and said, "I brought a map. My name is Thomas, 35. I name software features like their feelings and then forget to use them on myself. Marcus teaches music theory to high schoolers who think harmony is either easy or impossible. We have been married long enough to have one perfect spoon and not long enough to decide who gets it in emergencies." For months, we had been performing a low-budget production of Polite. Two roommates who left receipts on the counter like love notes and kept our arguments in the garage under a tarp labeled later. The map was on butcher paper. Marcus unrolled it with the ceremony reserved for charts of new continents and flattened the corners with two water glasses, our good ones, the goblets we save for company as if we aren't daily the guests we most often neglect. He'd drawn the outline of our apartment and labeled rooms with a cartographer's faith. The living room was bay of sofas. The kitchen, treaty table. The hallway, corridor of second thoughts. Over the window he'd written borrowed Horizon 707. Next to the front door, customs say I'm here before entering. "It looks like a joke," I said, already feeling like a border had shifted. "It is serious play," he said. "Also, the moving truck is not coming on Saturday." I lifted an eyebrow. "Did you call?" "No," he said, sliding the tube toward my laptop. "But I guessed, and if I guessed wrong, this map is still true." "I canceled at 11:11, I said. Marcus nodded as if I'd solved an equation he'd left out on purpose. He tapped a box he'd drawn by the window. "Lighthouse, hand here on back, 4 minutes, no commentary." Then he pointed to the kitchen. "Ceasefire, 3 facts, 2 fears, 1 request, no closing arguments." Then the hallway, "No diagonals, walk the block without cutting through the parking lot." Time saved not equal to heart saved. Finally the door, "Customs, hand on door, not handle, say I'm here. Only then enter." "You know I love rules," I said, "because I do. Because rules are how I learn to be brave without leaving my chair." "I know," he said, "and I love when you make water taste like a holiday." I reached for my phone. He shook his head and, smiling, placed it face down on the counter like an obedient pet. "Map first," he said, "then we can invite the internet." At 7:07 we stood by the window. He set his palm between my shoulder blades, exactly where our back forgets it belongs to our heart. We kept it YouTube clean, but I can tell you this. A hand in the right place is a translator. The city did its nightly affidavit, scooter asking permission, elevator making a decision, one laugh that sounded like a promise kept, and we said nothing for the entire length of bravery 4 minutes can hold. When he lifted his hand, the room became the kind of air you don't have to fight. "Ceasefire?" he asked, and we carried the map to the kitchen like a fragile artifact we could afford to use. We sat at treaty table. I read from the map because the map had authority my mouth doesn't always command. "3 facts, I said. "I replied later to 2 of your messages and meant never. I threw away a happy hour flyer because I didn't trust myself to leave early. I asked my boss not to schedule me after 6 on Tuesdays. 2 fears, I said. That if I stop being useful, I stop being lovable. That if I ask you for help, I will owe interest I don't know how to pay. 1 request, I said. Kiss me at the door even when we're behind, especially then." Marcus took a breath. the kind that tells you the body has remembered where it keeps its courage. 3 facts. I folded laundry that could have waited while you were upset. I replaced a conversation with a thumbs up. I pushed our lighthouse time to finish a lesson plan I could have written badly tomorrow. 2 fears. That my patience is really retreat. That order is my way of making distance look like kindness. 1 request. Ask me for dumb things. Hold the bowl. Sit here. Put your hand here. We poured water into the good glasses. The sound was a toast. We didn't give speeches. The map lay between our elbows like proof that we could choose an outcome without pretending it would be dramatic. We failed immediately and faithfully. On Thursday, I sent running late without I'm sorry, and Marcus texted a photo of the map with a sticky note I hadn't seen. Article 0, clear language first. I wrote, I'm sorry. I'm scared my email was cruel and I don't know how to fix it without performing. He wrote, present/window, 707. The map isn't a GPS, it's a nudge. We installed a garage of excuses under the radiator. Park, it's nothing, and I'm just tired here. Retrieve only after reading out loud. The first time I slid I'm just tired into the envelope, it felt like checking a coat I kept wearing instead of weather. I reclaimed it later out loud and it behaved. At 3:15 the next day, a push alert that belonged to no app and both of us arrived. Listen to 11 seconds of water. Text present/where. I played the recording of a laundromat drum I made during a week I mistook volume for identity. Present/bus stop, I typed. Marcus wrote back, present/metronome, because he was teaching quarter notes to teenagers who want to skip to the chorus. I laughed on the bench and nobody charged me. We chose a witness because marriages need a notary. We picked our neighbor Ruth from 5B, who distributes candor and banana bread in equal measures. Once a month she texts, window, and we respond with 1 sentence each, present/sink, present/couch, and she hearts the thread like a stamp that says filed. Marcus added the no diagonals rule because my legs love shortcuts when my heart cannot afford them. We looped the block with his arm around my waist and learned that time grows interest when you deposit it touching. The city applauded in its oblique way. A teenager on a scooter learned our silhouette. A small dog decided our ankles didn't need management. A bag of hard candy appeared on the bench with a note, for those who keep their hours. We ate 2 and saved 2 for bad minutes. On Friday, we inaugurated $5 duty-free. The rule: 1 small, useless, beautiful thing on the table to name together. I brought home a green marble from a kid with a tackle box of treasure. Marcus produced a tiny brass door knocker shaped like a hand. We called the marble Soft Planet. The knocker knocked kindly. They moved to the windowsill like tenants with impeccable references. We returned the moving truck deposit and also the fantasy that distance would be easier to manage than practice. We made a bag labeled for whoever needs this next and left it in the storage room the map insisted existed. A plastic pitcher, 2 paper, good cups we'd star-stickered into ceremony, a copy of our map reduced on the office copier, and a note pinned to a cheap kitchen timer. Borrow as needed. Return when you remember. We locked nothing. The door understood. Not every chapter wanted narration. Some days were laundry with uninteresting terror, but even those earned a line at 11 receipts, 1 precise thing that mattered. You asked if your email was mean and then didn't defend it, Marcus said one night. You saved the last good peach for me even though your face said maybe I won't, I said. We lay on the carpet and let gravity reintroduce us to humility. Sometimes we missed 7, 0, 7 and 7, 17, and the only time that surrendered was 9, 0, 3. Sometimes the hand on the back was a rumor, and the kiss at the door a rumor's cousin. The map didn't litigate, it just waited like a coat rack. The napkin with the original directions softened at the corners from being touched. The good glasses started to look less like guest stars and more like staff. Weeks in, I found the moving company email again and noticed a line I'd missed. If plans change, we understand. A sentence so corporate it nearly counts as human. I pinned our map over the printout with painter's tape and drew a new legend on the margin. Same house, 100, hand on door, not handle. Say, I'm here. Only then enter. It changed the humidity of the air in ways I am too practical to explain and too grateful to ignore. We added a box to the map near the sink. Sink court, if we must argue, we stand here, shoulder to shoulder, and rinse facts before feelings. It sounds silly. It keeps knives out of hands and words from getting legs they don't deserve. We added bench law. Whoever finds a bag of hard candy on the bench has to share the jurisdiction. We enforced nothing with force. The rules worked because we kept making water taste like a party. I still don't know whether I canceled the moving truck to be brave or because I wanted to see what my husband would draw when he was tired of me being clever. Maybe both. There's a line on the map I didn't notice until recently, penciled so lightly I had to tilt it to the window. Practice isn't punishment. I want to write that sentence on the back of my hand. Last week I found a receipt folded into a jacket pocket I wear when I audition for a different life. On it, in my own pencil, the sentence Marcus Map had invited. I confuse usefulness with love. I'm learning love on purpose. Under it, in Marcus' tiny neat print, I confuse patience with retreat. I'm practicing staying within reach. I slid the receipt under the magnet shaped like an honest chair. The house breathed like a body after a held note. When people ask if we did anything dramatic to fix what we almost unbuilt, I tell the truth that sounds suspiciously boring. We picked a minute and showed up. We counted without prosecuting. We let water be ceremony. We didn't cut across the parking lot. We let a neighbor witness us without commentary. We parked excuses and reclaimed them out loud. We taped a map to our fridge and let it do what good maps do. Make the distance between where you are and where you mean to be look walkable. Tonight at 7:05 our phones will face down as if manners are still a technology worth learning. At 7:07 a palm will claim the back of the heart and the city will lend us a soundtrack. At 7:12 we'll do numbers that refuse to be weapons. At 7:20 the water will pretend to be champagne and succeed. If we miss, we will do the only miracle that has ever tolerated repetition. Try again. 7:17 9:03 11 whenever mercy has a slot. Late checkout was a fantasy. Arriving early is a practice. The map says home in a handwriting we both recognize.